Hello everyone! Today's moderator started off as a TV commercial model, appearing in numerous television ads. He hosts events and video specials. He transitioned to singing, releasing his own songs, and even directing his own music videos, as well as that of other artists. He is a stage actor, appearing in productions by Trumpets and Repertory Philippines, among others. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give a warm welcome to the very talented and well-rounded Neo Rivera.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for that flattering introduction. Maraming salamat po. Again, good morning. Hello, and for those who attended the previous webinars, welcome back po. And for those joining us today, it is never too late. Welcome to the Akoparasabata community. This is webinar 8 of Akoparasabata 2021. Ending violence for, by, and with the children and youth. Again, maraming salamat po for inviting me. Thank you so much for inviting me. And if you guys can comment, share your thoughts, or just use the reaction buttons below, you may do so. Wow, today is just exciting. I see a lot of comments and chats rather dito sa ating chat box saying good morning and just be excited for this morning's event. And on behalf of the Child Protection Network Foundation, the Safer Kids PH, and UNICEF, we are deeply grateful for your support. Ako, tayong lahat para sa bata. Let's officially begin. Again, welcome everyone to Akoparasabata, Reimagining the Future, Breaking Barriers, Bridging Gaps is brought to us by the Child Protection Network Foundation and UNICEF. So please, a big round of applause for the CPN and UNICEF. You can use your reaction buttons, can use emojis, and mag-ingay sa comment section. Welcome to today's event. And if you've attended any of the last 7 webinars, then you know that this has been a very productive and worthwhile conference. We've tackled issues on how to manage children during this most dangerous and stressful time of the pandemic. We've learned some ways to handle mental health problems related to being locked down. We've been given practical tips and reminders about keeping our children safe from online abuse and nearly every aspect of relevant and applicable child protection. And to give us a glimpse of what the long-term effects of child abuse are, here is a short video prepared by the DSWD Interagency Council Against Child Pornography, DOJ Interagency Council Against Trafficking, and Philippine National Police, with the support from Child Rights Network, Safer Kids PH, and UNICEF Philippines. This is a short animated feature called Anino. And that was Anino, ladies and gentlemen. Powerful, grabe yung impact. A very well-made and very aptly titled, since child abuse casts a dark shadow that can follow children to their adult lives. Wow, powerful. You know what, guys? Across all these webinars, what we have continued to emphasize is that everything that we do, it is for, by, and with the children. We have had progress in providing opportunities for children to be heard and have allowed them to actively take part in their own protection. And in fact, earlier this year, the DSWD Interagency Council Against Child Pornography and Council for the Welfare of Children trained adolescents to facilitate consultations with children and to develop a strategy to implement a plan of action to end online and offline violence against children. Now, this time, we've prepared a short video for you to watch and hear the sentiments of the children and youth who have joined this process.
Based ako experience, dili man ingon nga lisod siya mo share sa mga bata sa mga experience sa UNICEF nga program nga webinar. Akong gi-share sa akong mga kauban sa balay nga mao ni siya dili siya lisod kay kanang friendly ang mga kauban nimo and pati ang mga facilitators friendly sila, and you can voice out kung saan kanang feeling nimo kanang sakto.
Bago to siya nga word sa ako. Then dito na ako nabalaan nga mao din na ang meaning unsa ang naaana nga nganong usaik ang gitawag ana o kanang unsa ang mga gakabiktima ana nga usaik, kanang unsa ang main target nga which is ang mga kabatan-unan, di ba, ang mga kanang gaka-target ana kanang sa online nga mag-send og mga nudes nga dili dapat di ay buhaton.
I have now this knowledge that I should really take part and encourage my co-youth and also the children to and motivate them and uplift them that they should really join also.
So yun, maganda nga rin po yung naging discussion kasi nakapag-share din po yung mga bata and nalaman nila kung ano yung mga pwede nilang gawin, sino yung mga pwede nilang mahingian ng tulong if ever na nararanasan po nila yun.
It was kind of scary since sensitive topic nga yung mga issues concerning children. That is why as a facilitator, we've been to trainings and we learn a lot of skills, also knowledge, as well as creativity. And then by those experience, we develop how to approach children in a child-friendly way.
Parang classmate na kwentuhan kasi hindi nalala yung edad namin sa kanila. So parang nagiging magaan ang loob, nagiging masaya kami sa pakikipagkwentuhan sa kanila.
We are able to raise the dissenting voices of my fellow children, their needs, their concern, and the way they wanted to change the society.
Of course, hanggat may bata pa kasi na nararanasan yung mga pang-aabuso, dapat hindi talaga tayo mag-stop na gumawa ng plano o proyekto upang masolusyonan yung mga issues na kinakaharap ng mga bata. At para sa akin, kulang pa talaga yung mga ginagawa natin dahil may issues. So kailangan talaga nating magkaroon ng mindset na makatulong sa mga bata natin.
Iba yung impact kapag you were able to put yourself in their shoes. You're not just complying with the activities, objectives, rather you wanted to develop yourself as well as develop others by contributing to their lives. I think it was nice to like join a lot of trainings and seminars, and it really not just a experience but it is a lifetime development as a person po. And I think by engaging children more through this kind of activity, we will have a better empowered youth in the future po.
To those NGOs, so I am very thankful because they really do an action and help the children, train the children for this kind of advocacy.
Sila daw ay mangyud magstorya pod sila kanang friendly sila, kanang happy kanang ingana bitaw. Dito ko na naka-feel nga naman day good ba kanang dili man di ay kanang tungod kay ingana na maulaw ka kanang murag maka-istorya bitaw gid kag tarong.
Yes, sa government naman po, sana mas maging yung support po nila sa mga ganitong plano is sana hindi lang doon mag-stop sa planning. Sana nga mas ma-implement din po yung mga napag-uusapan and sana ma-feel din ng mga bata yung mga effect nga nung naging planning nila.
Unta kanang maghatagid sila og time sa mga ingana bitaw nga mga project nga kanang ilang suportahan, ilahang hatagan og bili bisan og mga bata rami.
We need your support, your cooperation. For example, sa magbuhat mig activity para sa mga bata noon nga need nga i-counsel or need sila i-awareness bitaw. So, we need your support.
Huwag kayong matakot na magsalita tungkol sa mga nararanasan ninyo dahil tayo, ay mga future na heroes dito sa society natin.
Kaya bilang isang bata, ipaglaban natin kung ano ang ating karapatan, huwag mahiya pag-usapan kung ano man ang ating karapatan.
Nakita na ko sila nga kanang dili man di ay dili sakit ang mag-share, dili sakit ang maminaw sa ubang tao kanang i-share nimo sa ubang tao nga bisang dula ka kaila. Andam sila maminaw, andam katabangan.
At huwag po kayo magdalawang isip na i-share or ipaalam sa iba yung mga nararanasan nyo. Siyempre para rin po matulungan and yun may makuha tayong suporta sa iba. Kasi kung sasarilinin nga lang din po natin, mahihirapan din po tayo. Hindi masusolusyonan yung mismong problema kung wala po tayong hihingian ng tulong.
Pag-usapan natin ang karapatan, huwag kang matatakot na makialam, hustisya itaas at ipaglaban. Pagmamahal mangingibabaw sa ating bayan.
Narinig po ba kami?
Yes.
And so may we ask everyone to please listen, and we will now start in 5, 4, 3, 2.
That was just so powerful. That was so inspiring. Now, guys, it's so heartwarming to see and hear children taking part in the action to protect themselves against violence in any setting. And it's also amazing how these kids, these students are just stepping up and spearheading this campaign, this advocacy for their generation. Indeed, like the future is bright and protected. Wow, that's just amazing. And it's important to always highlight that these children should not be just confined to receive services and to be at the back end. All right, but as you have seen in the video, these are children who can and are willing to take action and be part of the conversation. And in the video, they mentioned that a plan was developed by children on how they can be part of the advocacy to end the online and offline violence against children. So for today, we will be hearing from these young people what they think should be done to be able to do this. And who would be more suited to presenting this to us than the children themselves. Now, please allow me to turn over the program to two youth hosts from the pool of the Safer Kids PH Young Leaders. Mag-ingay sa comment section. Please welcome them. Let us all welcome Ramir and Glay.
Thank you, Kuya Neo. Good morning, Ate Glay, and good morning po sa lahat ng kasama natin ngayon through Zoom and Facebook Live.
Good morning rin sa Ram and to everyone with us today. Thank you po Kuya Neo for that energetic and lively introduction.
Siya lang? Paano naman ako?
Ikaw pa ba, Ramir? Alam naman natin na wala ring makakapantay sa energy na meron ka. But seriously, napaka-importante ng conference na ito para mas mapalakas at mas mapatibay ang proteksyon ng mga bata katulad natin.
Tama ka dyan, Ate Glay. What we are about to present today are the components of the Advocacy Operational Plan for the PIPA-EVAC or the Philippine Plan of Action to End Violence Against Children and the Safer Kids PH program.
Yes, that is right. Plan of action. Isa itong strategiya or a battle plan to end the high prevalence of online and offline violence against children. At alam mo ba, Ram, kung ano ang pinakamagandang aspeto ng pagbuo ng plan of action na to? Is yung kasama tayo, kasamang partisipasyon natin at ng kabataang Pilipino.
Tamang-tama ka dyan, Ate Glay. Nabuo ang plan of action na ito through consultations with 102 adolescent representatives from the different islands of the Philippines, which are the Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, from different sectors and regions.
In addition, represented din sa consultation na ito ang mga kabataan from different backgrounds such as children with disability, indigenous children, children in street situation, illegal settlers, different genders, and youth organizations.
And to sum it all, so ang PIPA-EVAC ay binuo ng mga kabataan para sa mga kabataan. Di ba, Ate Glay?
Tama yan, Ramir. Ang galing, di ba? And this advocacy operational plan for the PPE-EVAC and Safer Kids PH program is divided into 6 components. The first of which is capacity building. This aims to educate and empower both children and the adults around them about child-related issues.
And here to present this component to us in more detail is none other than Kuya Ojel.
Hello everyone, ako po si Ojel and ngayon po ako po magpe-present ng aming unang component. Ang unang component po namin ay pinamagataang capacity building activities for children, youth, parents/caregivers, teachers, and barangay officials on child rights and protection. So, syempre po, for our unang component, ang gagawin po natin is to make sure that all of the necessary participants or the necessary proponents of our future activities are capable of performing our next components. So here's the overview of our first component. It will be focusing on the trainings of children and youth on child rights and protection and digital citizenship to become community advocates on BAC/OSAEC, trainings of learners and school personnel on positive discipline, mental health, sexual reproductive health, OSAEC, and bullying. Third, parenting seminars and/or sessions for caregivers, which shall include positive parenting, child protection, SOGI, family planning, among others. And lastly, mainstreaming of help desks/hotlines to reach children who are victims of abuse. So now, pag-uusapan po natin ang mga details po ng isa-isa po dito para po malaman po natin kung ano po talaga yung gagawin and kung sino po ang magsasagawa ng mga activities na ito. So unang-unang sa lahat po sa ating trainings of children and youth on child's rights and protection and digital citizenship. Our implementers, which were identified during the former activities po, were DepEd, the DICT, the LGUs, BCPCs, child advocates, and student councils. And next po, the training po will be using print and social media slash mobile applications so that the children and youth, barangay officials and tanods, as well as the SK are reached by the training. So that is for the first activity. So for the second activity po, we have the trainings of learners and school personnel on positive discipline, mental health, sexual reproductive health, OSEC, and bullying. So similarly po, our implementers will be the DepEd, the CRC Coalition, TWC, and UNICEF. And of course, our participants will be the school personnel and learners, which will be reached by the use of face-to-face trainings or e-courses. For our third activity, we have the parenting seminars and slash or sessions for caregivers, which shall include positive parenting, child protection, SOGI, family planning, among others. So for the implementers of this activity, we have the LGUs, the DSWD 4Ps, the CWC, UNICEF, the CRC Coalition, and again, the BCPCs. Of course, our target audience would be the parents and caregivers and the community stakeholders, which will be reached through the means of face-to-face trainings, podcasts, and interviews in radio programs. And of course, for our last activity, for component 1, we have the mainstreaming of help desks slash hotlines to reach children who are victims of abuse. So for our implementers, since this is going to be a hotline-based activity, well, of course, our implementers will be the PNP, the DSWD, the Child Protection Network, the LGUs, and of course, the DOJ. Our target audience, of course, would be the children, parents, and caregivers, as well as the community stakeholders, which will be reached through the means of print and social media for promotion. So of course, para malaman po natin kung effective po ba talaga ito or para malaman po natin kung ano ba talaga ang gusto nating makita po, we have our PIPA EVA key result areas. So in this case of our component, meron po tayong tatlong key result areas. First will be the KRA1, wherein the parents and caregivers are aware of practicing evidence-based parenting skills and positive training towards building. Next po for our KRA2, we have children and adolescents demonstrate personal skills in managing risks, protecting themselves from violence, reporting their experiences of violence, and seeking professional help when needed. And last for our KRA3, we have all children in need of special protection have access to appropriate and quality practice or protective, social, mental, health, legal, economic, and judicial services, ensuring that violence and trauma is prevented from recurring. Of course, these are our key result areas. Next, we have, of course, our Safer Kids PH output. So our expected output would be the availability and accessibility of gender and child-sensitive child protection information and services for boys and girls and their families, particularly related to OSEC, have improved. And our last output would be output 3.3, the improved knowledge and capacity of boys and girls in target communities to act to prevent and reduce all forms of violence, including OSEC. And that is for component 1, which is the capacity building activities for children, youth, parents / caregivers, teachers, barangay officials on child's rights and protection. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajal, for that comprehensive discussion of capacity building component. We have learned that involvement of children, parents, and caregivers to different seminars and training are some of the highlights of this component on building solidarity for protection of children.
The second component focuses on advocacy and raising awareness about violence against children.
Yes, children and adults need to be aware that violence against children and online sexual abuse and exploitation of children are more prevalent than they think.
At para malaman naman natin kung ano nga ba ang nilalaman ng Component 2, ating tunghayan ang video na ito.
Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Angelo at ngayon i-discuss ko naman kung ano po ang Component 2. Natapos na tayo sa Component 1 kaya ngayon dadaka na po tayo sa susunod nating component which is yung raising awareness. Bakit nga ba importante ang raising awareness? Sapagkat pag nagkakalat tayo ng awareness ay minumulat natin yung mata at kaisipan ng mga tao sa ating komunidad. Kung ano nga ba yung tunay na nararanasan ng mga bata sa ating komunidad upang malaman ang mga aktibidad at plano na maaari natin gawin upang makapag-raise tayo ng awareness sa ating community at sa ating bansa, atin na nang puntahan ito sa susunod nating slide. And then po, ito ang una nating activity, which is yung advocacy caravans on online, FAQ or OSAEC. Ay ito yung mga topic na maaaring lamanin ng ating caravan. Example na dyan yung child online safety, spotting online predators, data privacy and cyber ethics. Pagdating naman sa target audience or sino yung gusto nating makinabang doon sa ating gagawing plan or aktibidad, andyan ang parents, caregivers, children, pati na rin yung general public. Pagdating naman sa channels and tools kung paano natin siya isasagawa, sa pamamagitan niya ng maaaring print, radio, and social media, webinars, or online caravans. Pagdating naman sa mga implementer, or sino yung mga maaaring grupo or tao at individual na maaaring manguna sa pag-implement at pagsasagawa nitong ating unang plano, andyan po ang Children with LGUs, which is co-created campaign, or pwede pong social media companies, or pwede rin po ang celebrity ambassadors. Sa ating time frame, maaari po natin siyang gawin at isasagawa natin siya sa quarter 3 of 2022. Para naman po sa susunod nating advocacy and plano, andito po ang co-created development of advocacy materials with children and adolescents on protection issues to be posted in conspicuous community spaces. Pagdating naman po sa target audience, andyan po ang parents and caregivers, children, community stakeholders. Pagdating po sa channels or paano natin siya isasagawa, nandyan po maaari po tayo mag face-to-face or pwede pong virtual workshops katulad po ng sa ating ginagawa ngayon. Kasama po ang children to identify key advocacy messages on FAQ. Sa implementer or sinong gusto nating manguna at magsagawa nitong ating plano, nandyan po ang CWC, RC or the SCWCs, the REACAT VAUCs, and also the LGUs. Sa ating time frame naman po, gusto nating gawin at isagawa itong ating pangalawang plano at aktibidad sa quarter 4 ng 2022. At dyan po natatapos ang ating mga listahan ng aktibidad at plano na maaari natin gawin upang ma-raise yung awareness ng mga tao dito sa ating komunidad at syempre dito sa buong bansa. Dahil dyan, puntahan naman natin yung susunod nating component. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig.
Wow! The first two components pretty much cover pala the informational, educational, and communication parts of the plan of action.
Kaya ngayon naman, we move on to the implementation parts. Government policy is the key in the effective implementation of our programs. Kaya naman our next component deals with the strengthening existing laws and creating new ones that address the problems.
Kumbaga Ram, we will be advocating for the lawmakers na bigyan ng mas malaking pansin ang mga issue nating mga kabataan.
Tama ka dyan, Ate Glay. I couldn't have said it better myself. Okay ka pala kapag magtatagalog ka, Ate Glay.
Akala ko pa naman okay ako in any language. But here to show us how we plan to implement this component are two of our friends. Let me call on Wens and Charisse.
Ayan, isang makabatang pagbati sa lahat. Ako si Wenz at ating tatalakayin ngayon ang patungkol sa Component 3. And as you can see no, in the picture, may word na policies. So this is about strengthening existing policies pertaining to child protection services and mechanisms and scale up funding for child protection programming. So this is recommended no, aligned to PPA, EVA, key result areas, and of course, the Safe for Kids page program output, which is identified by the children and youth sa ating ginanap na kwentuhan o istoryahan. So, for the next slide, we have a quick recap for the component 1, which is the capacity building, advocacy, and awareness raising for the component 2. And of course, hindi na to recap, but ang susunod nating ay policy advocacy and implementation para sa ating component 3. So for the first program, we have here increased funding for programs and services on child protection, and this includes targeting OSCYs or the out-of-school children and youth, mental health services, creation of child protection, and strengthening human resource capacity. So the children also identified no specific target audience, the channel or tools, and implementer, and of course the time frame. So as for the first program, we have local chief executives, the local government unit, and policy makers for the target audience. For the channels or tools naman, it is dialogue with national. So this is with the Senate and HOR and also policy makers, specifically the Sangguniang Bayan. So it is stated no, that the Senate, the HOR, the CWC, or the Council for the Welfare of Children, LGUs, and the Department of Education are the implementer for the program. Also, the targeted time frame is on the first quarter of 2022. And moving forward, we have the second program, policy advocacy for the enactment of the bills. So this includes the bills on teenage pregnancy, OSA Act, and increasing the age of statutory rape. At wala itong pagkaiba no, sa unang programa natin dahil pareho talaga ang ating target audience, which is nga yung local chief executives, the LGU, and policymakers. Sa channels or tools, dialogue din with the national, the Senate, and HOR, and also local policymakers. For the implementer, the Senate, HOR, CWC, LGUs, and DepEd. Lastly, for the time frame, it will also be in the quarter of 2022. So para sa ating susunod na programa, Key Result Areas at Output, tinatawagan ko ang ating partner, Ate Charisse, pasok!
Ayan, salamat partner Wenz, isang makabatang pagbati sa lahat. Ako si Maria Charisse D. Estanyo. Ngayon, under the third component, which is the policy advocacy and implementation, we have here the last program, which is the institutionalization of child-friendly mechanisms and participation in policy making and implementation. Para naman sa institutionalisasyon ng mga mekanismong pambata at pakikilahok sa paggawa at pagpapatupad ng patakaran, the children identified specific target audience, channel or tools, implementer, and the time frame para sa programang ito. So for the target audience, ito yung local chief executives, local government unit, at barangay or local council for the protection of children. For the channels or tools, the children and youth stated that it will be trainings on the CWC's guidebook on child participation. So we have also here that it will be conducted, of course, by the Council for the Welfare of Children and the ILG or the Department of the Interior and Local Government. The time frame for the third program will be on the third quarter of 2022. Next slide po. For the key result areas naman po, under the component 3, we have the 3 general parameter which the PPA-VAP or the Philippine Plan of Action to End Violence Against Children and Safer Kids Philippines focuses and goals to be achieved. The first one is all children in need of special protection have access to appropriate and quality protective, social, mental, health, legal, economic, and judicial services ensuring that violence and trauma is prevented from recurring. So this key result focuses on children to have a better connection to said services to prevent violence and trauma from occurring repeatedly. We also have the second key result area. All VAC related laws are in place are effectively enforced. So the second key result area focuses on strengthening of the operation and function of violence against children-related laws. So the third and last key result area is multi-stakeholders, child protection structures and systems at the national, provincial, municipal, city, and barangay levels are operational and effectively functioning. So the last key result under the PPA VAC focuses on the effective functioning of children's protection structure and system. At ngayon, dadako na tayo sa pinakaling output ng ating mga youth at children para sa Safer Kids Philippines program under Component 3. We have availability and accessibility of gender and child-sensitive child protection information and services for boys and girls and their families particularly related to OSEC and have improved. So for this output, realized and further discussed by the children and youth, it focuses on having a better access of improved information and services for children about online sexual exploitation of children. At mga kapatid, dito nagtatapos ang ating talakayan para sa Component 3, Policy Advocacy and Implementation. Sa muli, isang makabatang pagbati.
Maraming salamat kasamang Wins and Charisse. Poverty and financial incapacity ang ilan sa mga pinakamalaking dahilan ng injustices na nangyayari sa ating mga kabataan. Ito ay hango mula sa National Study on OSAEC at sa Systematic Literature Review on the Drivers of Violence in the Philippines. Kapag mahirap kasi ang buhay, hindi sila nakakapag-aral at kailangan nilang maghanap buhay para tumulong sa family income.
At kapag mahirap din ang pamilya, mas prone sila na gumawa ng mga bagay na nakakasira sa buhay ng mga kabataan, whether directly or indirectly.
Lahat naman ng parents and caregivers ayaw palakihin sa kahirapan ang kanilang mga anak. Pero wala silang choice or kulang sila sa opportunities para bigyan sila ng mas magandang buhay.
Isa yan sa harsh reality ng society na kailangan ma-address kung gusto natin mawala ang violence against and mistreatments of children. And here to present us the ways that we can help families to find economic and financial stability is our friend Angelo.
Isang makabatang araw po sa ating lahat. Ako po si Angelo at ngayon po i-discuss ko yung component 4 which is the social protection. Saan nga ba pumapasok ang social protection? No? Ito ay patungkol sa mga programa at polisiya na nakatutulong upang mapigilan at madaig ang mga sitwasyon na tunay nakakaapekto sa kapakanan ng isang tao. Katulad ng mga social risk, ito yung mga unemployment, exclusion, sickness, disability at all age individuals. At ngayon naman, no, para makita natin kung ano nga ba yung linalaman ng ating component 4, makikita natin siya sa next slide. So ayan, no, katulad ng mga naunang components, parehas lang sila ng linalaman. Pero dito, no, sa component 4, magkakaroon tayo ng 2 programs and activities. At ang una dyan is yung provision of livelihood programs and other economic opportunities for parents and granting of financial, educational, and or employment assistance for families in need. So, kumbaga, dito sa ating unang activities and program, no, nakafocus siya doon sa livelihood program pagdating sa mga magulang, tsaka doon sa education, tsaka financial assistance ng isang pamilya na nangangailangan ng tulong. Ngayon naman, no, alamin natin kung sino nga ba yung maaari natin mapakinabang ng ating programa at aktibidad. No? Papasok na dyan yung indigent families, single parents, vulnerable sectors. Pagdating naman sa channels or tools, paano natin no, mai-implement itong ating programa at aktibidad. So sa pamamagitan nito ng print and social media, it's either face-to-face livelihood trainings. Sa implementer, sino nga ba yung mga accountable no, sa pag-i-implement? Or sino dapat yung manguna ng mga tao or grupo, maaari ring ahensya ng gobyerno, maaari ring mga NGO. So ito yung mga maaaring mga manguna no, sa pag-i-implement ng ating programa at aktibidad. Nandiyan yung LGUs, nandiyan yung DOLE, yung DSWD, yung DepEd, yung CHED, yung DTI, yung TESDA, at ang CRC Coalition. Sa time frame niya, no, hindi siya naka-specific, walang mga quarter 1 of 2002, walang ganun. So yung sinasabi niya dito, continuous, kasi kung titingnan natin at babalikan natin yung programa at ang ating aktibidad, no, continuous kasi siya, dapat yung livelihood program, hindi lang dapat kasi siya nakapokus sa isang pamilya, no? Dapat naaabutan yung iba pang mga pamilya. Maaaring natulungan natin yung isang pamilya, pero hindi tayo maaaring huminto doon. Dapat tulungan pa rin natin yung mga ibang pamilya na nangangailangan pa. Ngayon naman, tignan na natin yung susunod pa, no, ng mga programa at aktibidad. So, nandiyan na dyan yung free online counseling and psychological services for mental health concerns of children, especially victims of abuse. So dito na, nakapokus siya, makikita natin siya sa mental health, no? Kasi pagdating kasi sa bata, kung babalikan natin, no, yung mga iba't ibang mga consultation, sessions, and seminars na na-attendan natin, kasi maraming mga tao at bata na hindi masyadong bukas yung kanilang isipan pagdating sa mental health. Kaya hindi siya masyadong nabibigyan ng pansin at hindi siya natutugunan agad. Kaya ngayon maganda na gumawa tayo ng programa upang matulungan yung mga bata na nakakaranas ng mental health illness, no? Especially yung mga victim ng abuse, kasi maaaring magkaroon ng impact, no, pati trauma pagdating sa kanila yun, sa naranasan nilang abuse. So dapat alam, no, ng mga mag-i-implement kung paano i-handle yung isang bata na nakaranas ng abuse. So sino nga ba yung target audience natin? So papasok dyan yung children and youth. Pagdating naman sa channel and tools, yung maaari natin gamitin, nandyan yung virtual or face-to-face counseling session. So yung maganda, no, na maaari siyang face-to-face, either face-to-face or maaari din siyang online. So pagdating naman sa implementer, sino kaya yung maaaring manguna? So nandyan yung DOH, the Department of Health, the NCMH, or the National Center for Mental Health, and next is the Youth for Mental Health, next is the PMHA, and the CPU-PGH. Kung nakikita natin, kapare siya ng una nating activity or program na kung saan continuous din siya, sapagkat yung yung mental health issue kasi hindi siya kumbaga sa isang upuan lang masosolve mo agad, sapagkat yung mental health issue hindi naman siya ngayon lang siya lilitaw, hindi naman ganun, di ba? Maaari siyang lumitaw pa sa future at sa mga susunod pang henerasyon, no? Hindi natatapos yung mental health. So dapat hindi rin tayo natatapos na solusyonan yung ganitong issue. So ngayon, no, natapos yung ating component for which is the social protection. No, maraming salamat mga kapatid sa inyong pakikinig. Ngayon naman, alaman natin kung ano ang lalamanin ng susunod na component.
Thank you, Angelo. Truly, that child mental health matters. So with the plan presented a while ago, that is why we are really voicing out our dissenting voices to eradicate the increasing mental issues that we, the youth, are experiencing today. One that are too many, let's protect lives. Right, Ramir?
Tama ka dyan, Ate Glay.
Ram, meron akong tanong sa'yo.
Ano yun, Ate Glay?
Sumbongero ka ba?
Ala, Ate Glay, medyo nagulat ako doon, Ate Glay. Pero to answer your question, of course not. Masama ang maging sumbongero at unless it is a crime or illegal activity ang isusumbong mo. Di ba, Ate Glay?
Ano ka ba, Ram? Kasi iyan kasi yung next component natin. Strengthening and implementing reporting mechanisms.
Considering na we live in a world with cell phones, telephones, the internet, and social media, reporting cases of violence against children and OZAEC should be very easy. Pero believe it or not, Ate Glay, marami pa ring incidents nito ang hindi naire-report.
Nandito ngayon para i-report sa atin ang mga paraan upang makapagsumbong sa proper channels.
Stress ko lang, Ate Glay, no? Hindi masamang magsumbong ng cases of abuse, exploitation, and neglect.
Oo naman, Ram. Here to present the ways to strengthen our reporting mechanisms are James and Ross.
Isang makabatang araw po sa inyong lahat. sa lahat ng nanonood ngayon sa ating FB Live, and also sa lahat ng nanonood o nandito ngayon sa ating Zoom. So isang makabatang araw po ulit sa inyong lahat. So I would like to greet everyone a happy National Children's Month. So it is now our turn to present about the component 5, which is reporting mechanism. So ako po si Kuya James David D. Marquezo, or which you can call me also Kuya James for short. So mamaya po, makikilala nyo rin po ang kasama kong reporter, which is si Ate Ros po. So ang goals at objectives po natin sa component 5 ay strengthening of available online and offline reporting mechanisms for VAC cases that are child-friendly and child-sensitive. So ang pagpapalakas po ng mga available na online at offline na mekanismo ng pag-uulat para sa mga kaso ng VAC na pambata at sensitibo sa mga bata. So how will that happen? Paano pong mangyayari? So children can access hotlines where they can report VAC or OSAIC. So sa nakikita nyo po ngayon sa screen po, so ito po ang mga organizations o hotlines na maaaring tawagan ng mga children, maka-access ng mga hotlines where they can report VAC or OSAIC. So Council for the Welfare of Children, Bantay Bata 163, National Emergency Hotline, Action Line Against Human Trafficking, PNP Aling Police, Juvenile Justice and Welfare Council, Philippine Island Kids International Foundation Incorporation. So ito po ang mga programs and activities po. Establishment or strengthening of accessible helpliness or child-friendly reporting mechanisms which are available online and offline. And ang target audience po natin ay syempre po ang children and youth, parents and caregivers, and LGUs. So ang channels and tools po ay modules on child-friendly reporting and referral pathways, print and social media for advocacy. So ang implementer po natin ay ang CWC, DSWD, PNP, and Bantay Bata. So ang time frame po is for 2022. So magkakaroon tayo ng isang short game kung saan malalaman nyo kung ano ang dapat na katangian na mayroon sa isang hotline. So maaari nyo pong i-type sa chat box dito sa Zoom at maaari nyo rin pong i-type sa comment section sa ating FB Live. So sa nakikita nyo po, meron pong child-friendly, hindi child-friendly, madaling tawagan, hindi madaling tawagan, good listener, nagmumura at magalang magsalita. So Ate Ros?
So, isang makabatang araw sa ating lahat, lalong-lalo na sa mga participants o mga manonood via Zoom and FB Live. In continuation for the component 5, which is reporting mechanism. So, ayun, ako nga po pala si Ate Rosalinda Ragmac o pwede niyo akong tawaging Ate Ros. Okay, base sa ating nakikita sa screen, meron dito, nakasaad dito na ano-ano ang mga dapat o mga katangian na dapat mayroon sa hotline. Base sa ating nakikita sa screen, mayroong dalawang kulay, ang kulay pula at kulay berde. So, ang kulay pula ay nagrepresenta sa mga hindi katangian na mayroon sa hotline, habang ang kulay berde naman ay ang mga dapat na katangian na mayroon sa isang hotline. Next slide po. So nakikita natin, may 5 icons po na nakasaad. So, ito po yung mga taong maaari nating tawagan. Ito ay ang teacher, police, registered social worker, doctor, LGUs, at iba pa. So ayan, narinig na natin ang mga iba't ibang taong maaari ninyo o nating tawagan sa panahon na kayo ay nakaranas ng pang-aabuso o di kaya sa kapwa mo bata. Ulit, ito ay ang mga teacher, police, registered social worker, doctor, at iba pa. So ang mga icons na riyan ay ilan lamang sa maaari nating mapagsumbungan. Meron din namang mga different government officials and different LGUs po. Ang kapakanan at karapatan ng mga bata tulad ng survival rights, developmental rights, participation rights at protection rights ay dapat na naipapatupad lalo na ngayong pandemya. Huwag po tayo mag-alinlangan tumawag sa mga taong maaaring makatulong sa iyo. Meron na tayong kaalaman patungkol sa kung ano ang nasa component 5, which is ang reporting mechanism, Huwag po tayong matakot o mag-alinlangang tumawag sa mga taong dapat nating pagsumbungan kung ikaw ay nakaranas ng mga ganitong pangyayari o di kaya sa inyong paligid. Again, Happy National Children's Month sa lahat ng mga kabataan. Ako nga po pala ulit si Ate Rosalinda Ragmac o Ate Rose at isang makabatang araw po sa ating lahat. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, James, and thank you, Ross. Indeed, gustong-gusto ko yung pag-explain nila James at Ross ating line, no? Kasi feel ko talaga, hindi ko lang nafe-feel like, alam ko sa sarili ko at alam din ng ating mga viewers na they really explained 100% yung reporting mechanism.
Oo naman, Ram. Agree ako sa iyo. Actually, meron pa tayong final component, the plan of action in monitoring and evaluation.
Ito yung part kung saan babantayan at titignan natin kung effective nga ba yung activities and strategies natin.
That is right, Ram, which is very important rin dahil paraan ito para malaman natin how to improve the programs and to see what works and what does not.
Basta sigurado ako, Ate Glay, mag-work ang tandem natin.
Ay, ganun ba yun? May pag-ganun. So,
Ganun talaga, Ate Glay.
Ay, may pag-ganun, Ram. I think that is still up for monitoring and evaluation.
Medyo true ka din dyan kasi medyo kakasabi lang natin about monitoring and evaluation. And here with our last but not the least component, please take it away, Chris and Scarlett.
Pagpalang araw sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Scarlett at narito po ako upang ibahagi sa inyo ang Component 6 at ano ang nilalaman nito. Component 6, Monitoring and Evaluation. Sa Component 6 po, para masiguro ang tuloy-tuloy at epektibong implementasyon ng mga plano at programa para sa bata at kabataan. Meron po tayong dalawang programa o activities na under sa Component number 6. Una po ay ang Functionality Assessment of LGUs and PCBC through the Child-Friendly Local Governments Audit. Ang target audience po nito ay ang LGUs, LBCPC. At ang gagamitin po natin ditong tools ay ang face-to-face monitoring visit paper-based assessment. At ang implementer po natin ay ang DILG CWC. Ensure meaningful participation and representation of children. In short, kung patungkol po sa bata ang pag-uusapan gaya ng mga issue o paraan para kami ay matulungan o maproteksyonan, dapat po ay mabigyan kami ng pagkakataon makapagbigay ng aming saloobin at opinyon patungkol sa mga isyong kinakaharap namin ngayon. Regular monitoring of Barangay Council for the Protection of Children, PCBC, and Local Council for the Protection of Children, LCPC program and activities. Dapat talaga ay namomonitor ang BCPC at LCPC upang malaman kung kumikilos ba sila sa mga bagay na dapat nilang gawin patungkol sa mga programang pangkabataan. Ayon naman po sa key result number 6, multi-stakeholders in child protection, structures and system at the national, provincial, municipal, city and barangay levels are operational and effectively functioning. Ayon naman po sa output 3.2, increase LGU capacity to implement programs on child protection including OSEC. Yun lamang po, maraming salamat at tawagin naman po natin si Kuya Christian.
Thank you, Ate Scarlett. Maayong buntag kaninyong tanan. Good morning po sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Kuya Christian Ray Ramo from Iligan City, Lanao del Norte. Dito po, tatalakayin po natin ang component 6, which is ang monitoring and evaluation, which is connected po sa sinabi ni Ate Scarlett. So dito po sa huling component na ito ay nakapaloob po dito ang proyekto na ginawa namin na kapwa ko ng mga bata noong nakaraang kwentuhan. So nakalagay po dito sa programs or activities ang ensured implementation of projects on safety and security and maintaining of peace and order in accordance to local or barangay council of the protection of children plans. So, ano po ba ang ibig sabihin nito? Ito po yung pagtitiyak sa pagpapatupad ng mga proyekto sa kaligtasan at seguridad at pagpapanatili ng kapayapaan at kaayusan alinsunod sa mga plano ng L or BCPC. Halimbawa po ng mga proyekto na ito ay ang pag-e-install ng mga street lights, regular na consultation at child-friendly na pagpapatrol o monitoring ng isang bata, at better child-friendly enforcement of health protocols which is napaka-relevant sa current na situation natin ngayon na pandemic. Ito po ang posibleng proyekto na magagawa ng L or BCPC natin. Kanino po natin ito i-address ang proyekto? So, ang ating target audience ay ang ating Local Council for the Protection, the LGUs or the Local Council for the Protection of Children or the LCPC o sa ating Barangay Council for the Protection of Children. Para naman po sa channels or tools, gagawin po ito through face-to-face monitoring visits at paper-based assessment. Dahil alam namin na mas effective ito sa ganitong paraan. Ang implementer po ay ang DILG, CWC, LGUs, PNP at private sectors. Dahil alam po namin na marami at malaki ang kanilang gampanin o role sa ikakabuti naming mga bata. Ang time frame naman po ay gagawin siya ng tuloy-tuloy o continuous. Dapat po hindi tayo huminto sa pagpaplano at pagmamaneuver ng mga proyektong ito. Alam ko na lahat pong proyekto o plano na ito ay makakatulong upang masolusyonan ang mga issues o problema na kinakaharap naming mga bata. Dapat po tayo ay magtulungan at magkapit-bisig upang bata ay mapangalagaan. #ako, tayo para sa bata. Daghang salamat.
At Tiglay, alam mo, hindi na ako nangangamba sa mga katanungan natin. Yung kanina, yung tanong mo about monitoring and evaluation. Alam mo kung bakit?
Bakit?
Kasi nga na-explain na ng todong-todo nila Kuya Chris and Ate Scarlett yung about nga sa monitoring and evaluation. Palakpakan naman natin sila, Ate Glay, di ba? Ang galing-galing nila. Yes.
There you have it, the 6 components of the advocacy operational plan for the PPE EVAC and the Safer Kids PH program.
And yes, those are the 6 components that we, the children, came up with during the extensive consultations and brainstorming sessions conducted through the support of the Safer Kids PH program, kasama ang ating government partners from DSWD and CWC at civil society organizations tulad ng Child Rights Network.
It has been a pleasure and an honor to be part of this event. That is why thank you to the presenters, thank you to Child Protection Network, Safer Kids PH, and UNICEF, and thank you to all of the participants in this online conference.
Opo, maraming salamat sa inyong lahat na sumali sa ating conference for today. By being here, you have shown that you care and you want to help us in eradicating violence against children.
At maraming salamat rin sa iyo, Ram, for being here with me today.
And thank you rin, Ate Glay, just for being you. Back to you, Kuya Neo.
Thank you so much, Ramir and Glay. Wow, you did an amazing job. So guys, how about another round of applause for their awesome, fantastic, and great job. Thank you so much. So we will now invite our presenters back to take part in an open forum. All right. For our panelists, are you guys ready? So may I call back, Ojel, Wens and Charisse, Angelo, James and Ross, and Chris and Scarlett. Say hi to our panelists. Good morning, guys. And also our UNICEF team are also in the panelist room to support our youth presenters. Say hi to Miss Faye Balanon, R.A. Villafranca, and Rodmar Eda. And may I request their videos to say hi to our participants this morning. Hi, guys. All right. Let's go to our open forum. We have collected questions from our participants. I have our first question for Ojel. Hi, Ojel. Okay lang ba yan? Unmute
hello
tayo.
po. Yan.
Ayun. First question is, when is it okay not to be okay and when is it not okay to be okay? Yun yung question. Okay lang ba yun? Okay lang ba yun yung tanong?
Pwede rin po ata.
But seriously though, ito na ang question. Sa mga trainings na nabanggit ninyo, bakit? Ay, mali din pala. Sa mga trainings na nabanggit ninyo, paano kaya makakasali ang mga magulang ko dahil hindi naman sila aktibo sa barangay? At paano kaya makukuha yung kanilang interest na sumali sa mga trainings na ito?
Okay. So, pertaining po ata siya sa capacity building for component 1. So, there are 3 factors that I have identified kung bakit ang isang participant, not just isang parent, but a participant in general, that affects why they do not join an activity or why they are inactive. Well, ang na-identify ko are 3 things. 1 is the lack of information. Number 2 is apathy or the lack of interest. 3 is a statement which is what's in it for them. So what I mean by lack of information is there are cases na kung saan a participant or specifically sa isang barangay, hindi nare-reach ang parent, which is going to be the participant, because hindi siya na-i-inform mismo. Literally, hindi siya na-i-inform, hindi sa kanya nakakarating yung information. There are cases, of course, na kung saan yung mga ibang miyembro ng barangay, pupunta lang sa barangay pag nakabalita na mula sa kapitbahay, di ba? Na, uy, may proyekto yung barangay, punta kayo dito. That's 1. Number 2 is apathy. There are people that lack interest because they don't really have the necessary information to be interested. Na parang, hindi ko alam kung ano yung rason kung bakit kailangan ko nandito ako, so bakit naman ako pupunta? That's number 2. And yung sa what's in it for them, it would only mean na, realistically, okay, so, syempre naman, let's be realistic. What's in it for them naman talaga? When, syempre naman, there are people that are like that. There are practical people that believe that they should only be somewhere because it has to be worth their time. So therefore, they have to gain something from it. Not monetary gains, not just monetary gains, but of course, we will not give monetary gains, but rather the learnings and how important are those learnings. So yun lang po, na-identify ko muna. So paano makukuha yung interest nila? So I have identified 4 methods, or not 1 but all. So 1 is to make sure that they are aware. Make them aware that there is something going on. That's first, di ba? If they don't know that something is going on, then wala silang gagawin, di ba? Wala silang pupuntahan, wala silang malalaman. Number 2 is to welcome them and encourage them to join, to provide good accommodation, and that is going to be the big challenge for the implementers of these activities. They have to make sure that they have to let them know that their participation is very important. Because of course naman, kung wala yung participants, then what is the activity for, di ba? So make sure to let them know that their presence is extremely important. Number 3 is to give them a reason to join. Now in this case, sa parents po, di ba? Well, to let them know the big picture, the beneficiaries of these implementations are none other than their children, diba? And I think that by appealing to them through their children, we will be able to encourage them. Kasi naman, a parent loves their child, diba? There are cases that it's not, but we have to make sure that every parent does, diba? And lastly, inform them of what they can learn sa activity na yon. If they learn if they know that the moment they step into that door and the moment they come out, they're going to be better or they're going to learn something more, I think that's how we could, of course, convince them to be interested and to join. That's it.
Wow, very well said. Thank you so much, Ojel. Thank you for that very detailed answer. And I hope our question center was able to, and the rest of the participants, you guys were able to, medyo mas nalinawan kayo with regards to that concern. Now, again, thank you, Ojel. Thank you. May I call on Angelo to unmute? There.
Hello po.
Hi. So how are you right now? How are you feeling right now? Are you nervous? Are you...
Medyo po.
Medyo. Okay. So ito na ang question na. Ready ka na ba? And to our participants, if you still have questions to throw to our panelists, i-type nyo lamang po sa ating question and answer box. Or if you're on Facebook, just type it in the comment section. Are you ready, Angelo?
Yes po, ready na po.
Lakas maka-budget nitong forum natin, no? Parang question and answer portion talaga. But here is your question. Paano makaka-contribute daw ang sangguniang kabataan sa mga awareness-raising activities na ito dahil ang ginagawa nila sa ngayon ay mga beauty contest, o diba? Speaking of, or paliga lamang, ano kaya ang pwede nilang gawin para makakontribute sa advocacy na ito? Wow, that's a very good question.
So ayan, malaki po yung ginagampanan ng sangguniang kabataan sa pag-advocacy ng BAC and also the OSAE. Kasi from its name, sangguniang kabataan. So saan dapat lumalapit yung mga bata pa nagkakaproblema sila? So dapat kasali yung sangguniang kabataan doon, partner with the BCPC or the Barangay Council for the Protection of Children. So ito po yung suggestion ko or naming mga bata na napapansin ko na naatanan po sa mga consultations, mga sessions po. So narinig ko na maaari po tayo magsagawa ng awareness campaign. So ano yung mga lalamanin ng awareness campaign na yun? So lalamanin po nun yung about UNCRC. So mahalaga kasi mag-umpisa po tayo sa basic, alamin natin kung ano yung basic para yung mga bata mamulat sila kung ano nga ba yung karapatan nila para alam nila kung kailan sila naaabuso, alam nila kung kailan masasabi na ligtas pa sila. So maganda mag-umpisa tayo doon, tapos isama natin yung children's rights, isama din natin yung ordinances ng ating LGU and also the barangay and laws na pumoprotekta sa mga bata para alam nila kung ano yung mga batas na makakatulong sa kanila para proteksyonan sila. Kasi kung alam nila yung mga batas na yun, sasabihin nila, ay, itong sitwasyon na to is hindi na maganda sa akin, natatapakan na yung karapatan ko. So may batas na pumoprotekta dito sa akin. So karapatan ko din na magsumbong at mag-report. At doon na po papasok, magkaroon tayo ng awareness campaign kung saan sila maaaring lumapit, yung mga bata sa ating barangay. Dapat alam yun ng mga bata kasi kapag nakakaranas ka, madalas na itatanong nila, napapansin ko sa mga consultation, natatanong nila, saan po ako maaaring lumapit kapag ganito po yung nangyari, kapag naabuso po ako? So hindi nila alam, So maganda yung sangguniang kabataan, manguna sila pagdating doon, sa pagpapakalat ng impormasyon kung sino yung maaari nilang lapitan. Sapagkat kung alam nila, pasensya na po may pusa, so commercial. So ayun po, so pag alam po nila yung kanilang pagsusumbungan, so maipapadala nila sa tamang tao at may confident po sila na magsumbong kasi may tiwala sila doon sa kanilang lalapitan. Pagdating naman po doon sa awareness campaign, wag po natin kakalimutan yung pag-raise ng awareness about VAC and OSAEC, di ba? So maganda malaman yun, syempre both parents and tsaka yung children and youth at tsaka lahat nung nasa barangay natin. Maganda na malaman nila kung ano nga ba yung violence against children. Alam din nila yung OSAEC na napaka prevalent ngayon and pagdating naman po suggestion ko din lang po sa ating mga SK dyan, magkaroon po tayo ng consultation regarding sa mga issues na nararanasan natin in our community. Kasi kapag mahirap po tayo gumawa ng mga plans and programs kung wala po tayong data, di ba? Yung nga po madalas ginagawa natin, nagko-consultation tayo para magkaroon po ng data at makagawa po tayo ng mga plano. Halimbawa po kasi dahil hindi mo alam kung ano yung nangyayari sa mga bata sa inyong komunidad, ang nangyayari, ginagawa mo na lang beauty contest, ang ginagawa mo na lang paliga, which is nakapasok lang sa aspeto ng development, hindi pa nun sakop yung sangay pa ng iba pa ng development. Maganda tignan pa natin yung iba pang categories ng children's rights, andyan yung protection, andyan yung participation, andyan yung survival. Maganda, di ba, na hindi lang tayo nakapokus sa iisa. Maganda nga, di ba, sinabi na dapat hindi lang natin isipin yung nakabubuti sa iisa, dapat isipin natin yung nakakabuti sa lahat. So ngayon yung magandang isipin na gawin ng SK. Pagdating naman po, pwede naman po online, which is uso po, especially ngayon. Maaari rin po yung mga SK kasi feel ko techie naman sila, so maaari silang gumawa ng mga webinars, tapos mga posts, gamitin po nila yung mga iba't ibang platforms, social media platforms, para mag-raise ng awareness and mga knowledge about the VAC and OSAEC. And pagdating naman po sa contest, yung favorite po kasi nila ng SK, so suggest lang din. So kung magagawa sila ng contest, integrate natin yung children's rights and also the VAC and OSAEC. Hindi lang nagba-beauty contest ka na, yun lang. So mag-twist, naglamanin nun yung children's right, yung VAC, yung OSAEC, lamanin nun. Pati kung magkakaroon tayo ng iba't ibang contest, integrate natin. Especially, gusto ko pong i-highlight na kung magko-contest po sila ng mga ganon, isama po nila sa National Children's Month, gawin nila sa National Children's Month para sa barangay natin kasi in my opinion, hindi po natin kasi masyadong nararamdaman yung National Children's Month in our barangay level. So maganda na yung SK manguna din sila pagdating sa mga contest para tunay na maramdaman ng bata na ay buwan talaga namin to. And ayun lang po, doon lang po natatapos, yung maaaring gawin ng mga SK. Dapat napakalaki po ng papel na ginagampanan nila. So sana maging accountable and responsible po sila sa kanilang papel na ginagampanan. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Angela. I have to agree with that, lalo na sa SK, because we just have this concept na parang SK ka limited lang to this and that, yun yung mga beauty contest, paliga, but it's more to that. It's being in a platform, nandun ka sa position wherein you have responsibility para sa mga kabataan. It involves not just the development, but also the rights and protection. Napakalaking aspeto. So thank you so much for that, Angela. Thank you. Now, moving on to our third question, may I call on Wens and Charisse. Ayan.
So ayun, isang makabatang pagbati, no?
Yan, hello, good morning.
Hello,
ready na ba kayo
everyone.
for your question?
Ready na po.
Okay, sino unang sasagot? Gusto niyo ba magbato pics muna kayo? Or
Si Wens na po, si Wens.
Alright, si Wens. Alright. And then follow up na lang yung susunod. But here's your question. Bakit kailangan nakasama ang mga bata sa pagbuo ng mga ordinansa at mga polisiya sa LGU o sa barangay? Hindi ba dapat nag-aaral lang sila at pumapasok sa school? Hindi ba ito makakaapekto sa kanilang pag-aaral na marami pa silang ginagawa na pwede namang gawin ng matanda?
So, ayun, isang makabatang pagbati ulit, no? So, to answer that question, kung bakit kailangan nakasama ang mga bata sa pagbuo ng mga ordinansa at polisiya ay yung participation rights nila. So, they have the right to participate at isa na doon ang pagsama ng mga bata sa pagbuo ng mga policies para mabigyan din sila ng opportunity to freely express their opinions, their thoughts and suggestions tungkol sa mga ordinansa at polisiya ng kanilang barangays or LGU. And I believe din po na iba talaga nagaling mismo sa mga bata yung mga informations kasi by that, maaari o mas napapalawak yung idea to strengthen the ordinances and policies for their community. And yung pag-aaral nila at pagsama sa pagbuo ng mga policies ay part din po ng kanilang development and well-being din po of the children. So, ayun po, Ate Charisse.
So, tama nga, Ate Wens. In addition, bilang isang bata naman, mahalaga na tayo ay may partisipasyon sa pagbuo ng mga ordinansa or mga program sa ating komunidad. Mahalaga ang partisipasyon natin because we offer a different perspective from the adult, lalo na sa mga issue ng mga bata na tayo yung apektado talaga, di ba? So, our effort in indulging ourselves in this kind of setting makes adults understand the issues that we are facing. So, if tayo ay nakagawa ng ordinansa, initiative, o programa, we can really make sure na the ordinances are in tune to the need of children. Kasi sa atin mismo nagmula yung initiative na gano'n. Tapos, our participation is also important for children, for us because it gives us an opportunity to have a say about issues and decisions that affects us, learn new skills, have fun, and develop a closer communication to our community. So ibig sabihin tayong mga bata ay may malaking gampanin sa ating lipunan, and our participation will never be and is not an hindrance to our education. Instead, it helps us, diba? It hones our way of thinking. If before tayo ay nakatutok lamang sa sentro ng mga imahe, now we can see broader things and wider pictures. And with that, it really helps us to have and initiate mga initiatives, ganon, programs and ordinances para sa ating kapakanan naman. So ika nga ni Ate Wenz, our participation promotes well-beingness and development. So yan lang po. Salamat.
Thank you so much, Charisse and Wenz. You know what I got from that was representation, like proper representation. Like paano mo nga naman talaga malalaman kung anong concerns nung kabataan? Kailangan talaga may represent at involve sila dun sa process of development. Thank you so much. Now, ito tatawagin ko ulit to si Angelo. Ayan, bilang ginalingan ang kanyang pagsagot kanina. May ibabato ulit tayong tanong sa kanya. Are you ready, Angelo?
Yes po.
All right.
May premyo po ba?
Meron yan.
Joke lang po.
Meron yan, for sure. Ito, question is, nasa na yung tumawid na pusa? Okay, good. Question number 2. Ito na talaga. Nabanggit nyo sa component yung free online counseling and psychological services para sa mga mental health concerns ng mga batang biktima ng abuso. Paano kaya tayo makakapag-advocate na bukod sa advocacy natin on violence against children, ay makapag-advocate rin tayo ng mental health awareness?
Okay. So yun. So pagdating naman po sa mental health awareness, napakalaki pong usapin ng mental health problem. So maganda siguro kung mag-advocate tayo ng VAC, ihiwalay natin siya. Magkaroon siya ng ibang advocacy yung mental health awareness. So gusto ko po yan ipasok syempre, dahil awareness siya. Pasok natin uli yung awareness campaign. Diyan naman tayo lagi nag-uumpisa. So papasok din dyan yung seminars, tapos yung webinars na ginagawa natin. Tsaka yung katulad ng nasabi ko rin kanina na gamitin natin yung social media platforms kasi napakauso nun ngayon, 'di ba? So napaka-trend niya, napakadaming mga kabataan na gumagamit nun. So bigyan lang, ihimay-himay lang po natin. So pagdating po kasi sa awareness campaign, bakit siya napakahalaga, especially adults, Sa tingin ko lang, kasi kung napapansin, naoobserbahan ko lang kasi to sa ating komunidad, sa kang kapaligiran na mostly yung mga adult hindi sila open about mental health issues, so madalas kaya minsan kaming mga youth and children nahihirapan mag-share ng aming tunay na nararamdaman kasi nga baka hindi kami maintindihan ng mga nakakatanda sa amin. Baka sabihin kasi na bakit mo nararanasan yan, ba't mo naiisip yan, lahat naman binibigay namin sa'yo, di ba? Lahat naman natutugunan namin yung pangangailangan mo. Ano ba yung parang ganyan, nasa isip mo lang yan, yun, diba? Lagi nilang sinasabi. So may stereotype pagdating sa, pagdating sa mental health problems. So maganda mag-spread tayo ng awareness, para mamulat, hindi lang syempre yung mga matatanda, pati na rin yung mga bata. Sapagkat napaka bigat na usapin na to, hindi siya pwedeng solbahin ng ikaw lang mag-isa. So maging, para maging natural lang tayo na it's okay na mag-consult tayo doon sa mga professionals and walang masama doon, So kasi nagiging kaisipan dito sa Pilipinas na kapag kasi nag-consult ka sa in professional, sinasabi kasi nagbaliw ka gano'n, 'di ba? So dapat gawin natin yung normal lang na walang masama doon sa pag-seek ng help doon sa professionals dahil ang mental health is also health. So maganda na alagaan din natin 'yon. So maganda mulatin talaga yung mga bata. Dapat doon talaga nag-uumpisa. And also sa pag-spread ng awareness and pag-advocate, maganda na makapag tayo ng engagement with other individuals, institutions and groups. Maganda na palawakin pa natin yung network natin. Mas maganda na mas madami pang tao na nagkakalat ng mga iba't ibang awareness. Then maaari din po tayong maggawa ng mga campaign materials about sa mental health. So ayun lang po. Maganda na maging aware po talaga yung mga tao at maging mulat yung kanilang kaisipan about mental health problems. Kasi alam ko po, gusto ko sabihin na hindi mo naman po kailangan ilagay yung sarili mo doon sa sitwasyon para lang maintindihan yung tao. So ayun, so maaari lang alamin mo kung ano yung nararanasan siya at intindihin siya. So yun lang po. Maraming salamat.
Very well said, Angela. Thank you so much. It's really the key there is awareness and empathy. It's really thinking about the other person. And it's amazing how the youth now, the generation now knows how to step up and really care for each other. So thank you so much. Now, I'm seeing comments sa ating chat box na they totally agree. Now, thank you so much. If you guys have thoughts also, ilagay nyo rin po sa ating comment section. Yan. Thank you so much, Angelo. Now, I would like to call on James and Ross.
Hello po,
Hello
isang
po.
makabagtang araw po sa inyong lahat.
Good morning, guys. Now, ready na ba kayo sa ating question?
Yes po.
Yes po.
All right. Your question is, sa ngayon, maraming bata na ang nasa social media. Sa pagbuo ng hotline, hindi ba maganda na magkaroon rin ng hotline na ma-access sa pamamagitan ng Facebook o di kaya sa ibang mga social media sites?
Thank you po. So to answer that question po is, sa panahon ngayon na may pandemya tayong nararanasan, maraming bata ang nagkalat ngayon sa social media tulad ng sa Facebook, sa Instagram, sa Twitter at sa TikTok naman po. Isang magandang ideya ang pagkakaroon ng hotline or social media sites na madaling makita at maa-access ng mga kabataan dahil doon mismo sa social media makikita nila at malalaman. So, marami ng iba't ibang social media sites o hotline ang nagawa na upang makatulong sa mga kabataan ngayon tulad ng Akoparasabata Facebook page, Safer Kids Philippines Facebook page, Philippine Island Kids Foundation at iba pa. So, Ate Ross?
Ayan, isang makabatang araw po sa ating lahat. So in addition sa sinabi ni Kuya James, so sa katunayan, isa sa mga magiging example na ating ma-reach out through Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, and even different websites, ito ay of course ang Ako Para sa Bata. For example, in FB and Instagram, makikita natin itong at Ako Para sa Bata Conference, and Twitter, at Ako Para sa Bata. Meron ding website sa www.childprotectionnetwork.org. Higit sa lahat, konektado ito sa mga iba't ibang LGUs, such as UNICEF, Safer Kids, Child Protection Network, Advocom, and many more. So, gusto ko lang din pong i-share na kailangan pa din natin panatilihin ang confidentiality. So, gayon pa man, mahalaga talagang magkaroon ng ganitong sites na accessible at saka legit, no? Malalaman naman natin na legit yung isang website or pages because sa different LGUs, no? Sa different LGUs na nandun. And of course, lalo na ngayong pandemic na only social media ang palagi nating napiface. So, yun po. Thank you so much.
Thank you, James and Ross. Totoo nga, no? Because pumunta tayo doon kung nasaan ang kabataan, and that is social media. And it's using not just for entertainment and connect, but to really serve its purpose. So thank you so much, James and Ross, for your answers. Now, tawagin ko naman ngayon si Christian and Scarlett.
Ayun, good morning po, Kuya Neo. Makabatang araw po sa lahat.
Hello. All right. Ang question pala is, ano ba? Yun lang. Yun lang yun. But, okay, ito na. Real question is, ano ba ang role ng mga local councils for the protection of children na nabanggit nyo para sa mga bata sa mga communities? Bakit kailangan silang i-monitor at i-evaluate?
Okay, give me 1 second. Okay.
2 seconds na.
For the first question po, yung ano ba ang role ng ating LCBC o yung mga local council for the protection of children? Ito po ay sila po yung isang konseho na inorganisa sa mga probinsya, lungsod, munisipyo at barangay na level na nagsisilbi na parang isang umbrella na organization para sa lahat ng mga concerns naming mga bata. Itong council na ito ay fully harnessed upang maging isang mahusay at epektibong tagapagpataguyod ng mga karapatan ng bata. So nagpapatupad ng lahat ng mga children's program sa mga local na antas. At sa second question niyo po, Kuya Neo, bakit kailangan silang i-monitor at i-evaluate, ay kailangan po natin dahil ito po ay tumutulong upang makakalap ng mga impormasyon galing sa mga bata na kailangan upang gabayan ang strategic na pagpaplano, disenyo at pagpapatupad ng mga programa at proyekto ng ating LCPC. Yun lang po, Kuya Neo.
Meron pa akong third question. Mamaya na lang, chat ko na lang. Thank you so much, Christian. Maraming salamat. And actually, I would like to call on our lahat po ng ating presenters and panelists, no? Ojel, Angelo, Wenz, Charisse, James, Ross, Christian, Ramir, and Glyza. Ayan, makiki-unmute lang, no? Meron akong final question for all of you guys. Eto, ano ang maipapayo nyo sa mga nakikinig para maging bahagi sila ng advocacy natin to end violence against children at ng online sexual abuse and exploitation of children? I'd like to start with Ojel.
Ang sagot ko po is very short. It's for the future. That's it. It's for the future.
How about the past?
For the past, well, the past is going to be this is going to be the past. This is going to be the past because we are onward to a better future. So we are right now in the past, diba? There are sayings na 2021 is the future, diba? Technology and all that, this is the future. No, we are the past, and the future is, of course, a better and much more safer environment for our children and communities. Yun po.
Thank you, Ojel. Very well said. Gusto mo may bigla ko na i-follow up sa'yo. But thank you. Thank you so much for picking it up. Maraming salamat. Now, Angelo.
So yung payo ko po no, sa kanila, sana yung mga umattend no, dito at nakinig sa ating webinar, sana hindi po natatapos sa tag-end yung pag-advocacy natin ng Children's Right, OSAEC, and the VAC. No? Dito, hindi lang natatapos dito. So sana alam ko no, may babalikan tayong pamilya, mga kaibigan, no, at grupo, no, at organisasyon na kinasasalihan. So sana hindi lang matapos sa atin yung mga natutunan natin. Maganda ibahagi din natin to sa kanila kasi parang chain kasi yan eh, no. So kapag yung natutunan ko maaari ko ibahagi sa iba, tapos yung natutunan ng isang tao sa akin is maaari rin niyang ibahagi sa iba. So sa pamamagitan no, makakalap tayo ng mas madami pang kaalaman at mas madami pang mga tao ang mamamulat sa kanilang mata kung ano nga ba yung mga nararanasan ng mga bata at ano nga ba yung mga issues and ano yung maaari nilang gawin. And at gusto ko rin na sabihin na makialam tayo. Hindi porket hindi tayo bata, no, hindi tayo mangingialam. So dapat makialam tayo sapagkat hindi lang naman about sa atin ito, about din no, sa future natin. So yun lang po.
Thank you, Angelo. This is where being a pakialamero or pakialamera comes in handy, no? Like voicing out your opinion for your generation. Thank you, Angelo. Now, Wenz.
So, ayun po, no, ang maipapayo ko sa mga nakikinig is let us get involved po, especially sa mga organizations that aims in ending violence against children and OSAEC. So, maaari din po nating umpisahan sa ating mga lokal na pamahalaan, barangays or organizations na maging active po ang mga ito to create safer environments for children. And let us empower our communities and let us also inform others with the different rights of the child and that kailangan nating tutukan ang mga karapatan ng mga bata. At gaya nga no, ng sinabi ni Kuya Ramir kanina, hindi masama ang pagsumbong ng mga cases and abuse and violence. So don't be afraid to voice out talaga. And lastly po, I commit to help in ending violence against children.
Thank you so much, Wenz. Now, Charisse.
I think nasagot na po talaga nila yung main sagot talaga sa question po. Pero para sa akin, let's practice our right in participation po. Total doon naman nagsisimula ang lahat. Pag may nag-invite or pag may mga programa na tungkol sa mga bata, dapat gora tayong lahat ganun para ma-address din natin yung mga issues na may kinalaman sa mga bata lalo na sa malalo na sa ating topic ngayon. So, let's practice our right in sa participation. Huwag tayong mahiya pag may mga ganitong mga programa kasi sa atin talaga nagsisimula ang lahat. Pag hindi tayo nagsalita, wala naman talaga. Siguro may initiative yung government pero hindi talaga siya gano'n na naka-connect sa kung ano talaga yung issue na nararanasan natin ngayon.
Gora tayong lahat. Thank you so much, Charisse. Now, James.
Hello po. Good morning po ulit. Sa lahat ng mga kabataang nanonood ngayon, ang may papayo ko po ay let's share sa ating mga kaibigan, sa ating mga friends, ang mga impormasyon na tungkol sa USAIC na hindi ito isang biro at totoong nangyayari sa ating paligid. And also, let's be vigilant rin po upang masugpo natin ito.
Thank you so much, James. Now, Ross?
So hello po, ayan. Ang aking masasabi na kinailangan nating maging mapagmasid. So, Kuya Kim lang ang peg sa lahat ng pangyayari. Sa lahat ng pangyayari o kung sa mga pang-aabuso. So, in addition, ang kagaya nga rin po na sinabi ni Kuya Angela at Kuya James na ibahagi natin sa iba ang ating mga nalalaman upang makatulong tayo to end this violence against children, online sexual abuse, and exploitation of children. And by doing so, we can be part of doing the advocacy. So, yun lang po. Thank you at isang makabatang araw sa lahat.
Thank you so much, Ross. Now, Christian.
Ayun, alam naman natin 'di ba na maraming mga bata ang biktima ng karahasan taon-taon sa buong mundo. So what can we do? What can we do to fight this war? Well, number 1, educate yourself. Remember, knowledge is power. By knowing more about child and sexual abuse, you will be empowered to help yourself and others. Through education, you can begin fighting the fight to protect children. Number 2, speak up. Abuse and sexual violence among children are silent epidemics that bloom in our society of secrecy and shame. Nakarinig ka ba ng isang biro o komento na kinukonsinti ang sexual harassment? Kung oo, speak up. Ipaalam sa iyong mga kaibigan na ang pang-aabuso ay hindi pinagtatawanan. Panghuli, don't ever give up. Huwag kailanman susuko. This will be a very long fight that takes every one of us. Naniniwala ako na ang pinakakasuklam-suklam na bagay na maaaring gawin ng isang tao sa isang bata ay ang sexual na pang-aabuso sa kanya. At naniniwala din ako na tayong lahat ay may pananagutan na pigilan itong mangyari. At kaya natin. Ang bawat bata ay dapat na makatulog sa gabi ng ligtas at mapayapa. At magagawa natin ito. Daghang salamat.
Daghang salamat po, Christian. So thank you so much. Now, Ramir?
Hello po sa ating lahat. Isang makabatang tanghali kasi 11:26 na po.
Nagta-time check na si Ramir na ko. Okay. Bilisan mo, moderator. Bilisan mo, moderator.
Take your time lang, Kuya Neo.
Sige.
Okay po. So I believe that we are all, my message would be, we will because we can. We are all capable. We are all flexible. We are all worthy with this commitment, with this responsibility. And I want everybody present here to know that nothing is impossible. Nothing is not feasible if we work together for our children, for our children's welfare. We will because we can. Yun lamang po. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Ramir. Nako, ibang klase talaga. Napaka-powerful, impactful. Now, last but not the least, Glyza.
So, hello po. Isang makabatang tanghali nga, sabi ni Ramir. Ano pa ba masasabi ko kaya niyo? Nasabi na nila. Pero ayun, siguro ang mapapayo ko po sa kanila, as we are in a pandemic right now nga, we never know how violence against children and USAID occurs in families, friends, cyberspace, communities. there are cases talaga na it neglects records and reporting. So simply by supporting this ADVOCOM, we will enlighten blurred vision, heard silent voices, and enable upward mobility towards a better and safe lives for youth and children in this society. So that is all, Kuya Neo. Thank you very much, everyone.
That is all. Thank you. Thank you so much, Glay. Now, to all our participants, bigyan po natin sila ng maingay na cyber palakpakan by using the reaction button dito sa ating Zoom room or mag-ingay sa comment section. Thank you so much to our panelists, Ojel, Angelo, Wenz, Charisse, James, Ross, Christian, Ramir, and Glay. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and passion to each and every one of us. We also ask you to join us as we reiterate our commitment to this cause through an interactive dance to be performed by a very special guest. She was the first princess of Jump in Party Pilipinas. She's an actress, a TV dancer, a stage director, and the former choreographer of the PhD Dancers. She's also a member and a volunteer choreographer of the Filipino Dance Club in Singapore, as well as a human resources executive. Conveying our commitment by dancing to the song Laya by KSM, please welcome Miss Myra Carrel. Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Miss Myra Carrel. All right, moving on to our webinar. Our next guest is a CPU PGH scholar, a graduate of nursing, and placed 16th in the nursing licensure examination last July 2021. Wow! Here to share some inspirational words with us is Miss Anastasia Marie Mendoza.
Good day, everyone. First, I'd like to express my deepest gratitude to UNICEF and CPN for inviting me as your speaker for today's Ako Para sa Bata webinar. It is truly an honor. I'd like to start this talk with a story of mine. 27th of January 2016 was when my life shattered. I was abused by my so-called boyfriend. I was 16 years old. I thought I knew everything. I thought I can make mature life choices. I thought I already knew better. I thought I knew what love was. But I was 16 years old. I can't make mature life decisions. I didn't know any better, and I didn't really know what love was. I was young, vulnerable, and to be frank, quite stupid. I don't have a very good relationship with my parents. I was the rebellious one in the family. They're very strict and I tend to disobey them, which is why when I got transferred to live with my mom's side of the family in our province to continue my studies in high school, para akong nakawala sa hawla. Because I'm not living with my parents during that time. High school year is a very crucial time for a teenager's life. That's when you will discover things about yourself, about the people around you. And that is also the time when you will start to experience the exciting or new things part of life. And I did. I did discover things about myself, who I am, what I'm capable of, as well as to the other people around me. I also did experience that new things in life. At a very young age, I learned how to drink alcohol and smoke cigarettes. And syempre, napabarkada din, which telling you now is actually embarrassing. I grew to a different person when I got separated from my parents. So when I came back to live with them and to study for college, I didn't like it. I feel like I was trapped again. Then I met the boyfriend in college who was 4 years older than me. I was 16, he was 20 years old. I trusted him easily as he can understand what I was going through with my parents and with my family. When realizing it now, I was brainwashed pala. During that time, I thought I loved him. And that so-called love took a toll in the relationship with my parents. An incident happened. They met the boyfriend, put him in jail, and they got very mad at me. Maybe you're wondering, bakit? Bakit pati sa'yo nagalit? Eh, di ba biktima ka? Siyempre magagalit sila. Of course, they'll get mad. They're still a parent after all. They're my parents after all. They were so disappointed in me that they couldn't trust me anymore. That they couldn't even look me in the eyes. They were so mad that they made me stop going to school and had kept me in the house with nothing else to do but breathe and do house chores. I was not allowed to use any of my gadgets, so I had no one to talk to. I couldn't talk to my parents because they're mad at me and they couldn't forgive me yet. I felt so alone that I fell into depression. I couldn't sleep at night. I was always crying every night, and sometimes it's the only thing that could make me sleep. I couldn't eat well. I would even vomit sometimes, even though my stomach is empty. And I always feel like I was tired. I even got physically sick because I wasn't getting enough sleep and nutrition that my immune system went downhill. And I really thought that was it for me. A 16-year-old sickling girl with nothing but crushed dreams. But then comes this next school semester. My parents and I have come to an agreement that I will continue my studies for as long as I'll be in my best behavior. In which I did. But boy, was it hard. Because no matter what I do, it's never gonna be good enough for my parents to trust me again. But I did what I had to do. I worked so hard to gain my parents' trust again. Took me a long time to earn it. I strived and studied hard, not just for my parents, but for myself as well. Because I believe that I owe it to myself to rise up again and to be better. Sure enough, 4 years later, hard work paid off as I not only passed the nursing licensure exam, but had an 87% average and placed 16th out of 5,008 who passed the boards. Looking back, I could say, I did that. It wasn't easy nor pretty, but I did that. That 16-year-old sickling girl strived and became a registered nurse. Looking back, and I thank God that I didn't give up. I thank God that I was patient, and I thank God that I fought. But the battle doesn't stop there. I was still traumatized and depressed with what happened to me. Up until this day, I'm still fighting, and I will continue to fight these battles. When I received the call asking me to give an inspirational message, I was hesitant at first because I was told that this message should show my resiliency and strength in life. But I don't think I am resilient, and I'm actually exhausted by strength. I didn't know what to say. I didn't think I had an inspirational story or message to give. But then I realized this isn't about me. This isn't about my story. This is about this is about the people who will be listening to me, that no matter what my story is, even if I think it isn't inspiring for me, but if even just one of the listeners heard my story and got inspired by it, and it sure is worth saying yes to the call. So to those kids who think they know better, no you don't. Experience is the best teacher, they say. Yes, it is, but it doesn't apply to all kinds of experience. Ito sobrang cliche at lagi nating naririnig, at sa sobrang palagi nating naririnig, hindi na natin talaga siya naririnig. Listen to your parents. Makinig kayo sa mga magulang niyo. Hindi ninyo kailangan maranasan ng isang bagay para may mapagsisihan. Don't rush things. You have all the time in the world to experience things. You don't have to experience everything now at once. You are still young. We all are. Let us be and stay young. Parents, be a friend. Be a friend to your children. Be someone who they run to, not run away from. Your home should be a place where they feel safe, not a place where they always feel anxious and threatened. Be your child's primary support system. And to those people who is suffering now, it's okay to get exhausted. It's okay to be vulnerable, because to be strong is to be vulnerable. It will get better. The trauma doesn't stop, but so does healing. Healing comes in waves, and you have to trust the ups and downs of it. I always believe in the Bible verse said in Romans chapter 8, verse 18. The pain that you've been feeling can't compare to the joy that's coming. Hold on to that. You can't see it now, but there are brighter days ahead. For the meantime, don't forget to thank God and yourself for being brave, for being vulnerable, for being strong, for being patient, for allowing yourself to grow. That after everything that has happened, and even though you break at times, you are holding on and you are choosing to continue and thrive. Please join me as I end this message with a prayer that kept me going in life. With the kind indulgence of our host, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Once again, thank you for having me, and have a good day to us all.
Thank you so much, Miss Mendoza. That was truly inspirational. Thank you for sharing your heart and your life to us. Now, guys, our last speaker for today is not just a celebrity, not just one of the most popular Filipinas in the country and in the world, rather, but a crusader for children's rights and a staunch advocate against violence and the sexual abuse of children. She is a TV host, actor, self-proclaimed biretera, and a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, the one and only Ann Curtis.
Greetings to the 20,000-strong 2021 Akoparasabata Conference delegates watching on online platforms. Hinahangaan po kayong lahat mga child protection service providers, social workers, doctors, lawyers, police, psychologists, teachers, guidance counselors, government officials, local governments, and barangay officers, staff, and volunteers. From my work with UNICEF, I know that child protection is very challenging. It takes a whole society to make it happen. Kailangan ng bayanihan. It takes commitment from government and dedication and passion from child service providers. And as we at UNICEF commemorate our 75th year, it is more important than ever to support child protection workers like you. Akoparasabata is more than just a conference. It's also a venue where all participants reaffirm their commitment to uphold children's rights and protect children. The pandemic has made child protection more challenging as children are confined to homes and schools are closed for more than a year. Public transportation is limited, the quarantine measures restrict movement, and sadly many parents have lost their jobs. And that is why many children have difficulty accessing services. Yet maparaan po ang mga Pilipino. Akoparasabata's theme this year, Reimagining the Future, Breaking Barriers, Bridging Gaps, showcase new ways to teach children who were abused and extend support to parents and service providers. We are also learning new things every day with new studies and evidence that will help children with mental health issues. We're also seeing more and more young people speaking out for their rights. Akoparasabata has always been important to this community to share new knowledge and lessons learned. It is amazing that through the years, advocates like you and me continue to learn how to serve children better. I am honored to be with all of you today, the champions for children. Ako si Ann. Ako, tayo, para sa bata.
Beautiful, beautiful message, Miss Ann. Thank you so much for gracing us with your beauty and presence today. Truly, guys, now we can safely say that this has been a very successful webinar for, by, and with the children and youth. And that deserves a celebration, don't you guys think? But before we move on to the closing ceremonies, we are inviting everyone to get up on your feet or nakahiga kayo, bumangon muna kayo, and join us in this celebratory dance. Come and dance with us.
Ako si James David. Ako, tayo, para sa bata.
Ako po si Angelo. Ako, tayo, para sa bata.
Ako si Charisse. Ako, tayo, para sa bata.
Ako si Wenz. Ako, tayo, para sa bata.
Ako si Christian. Ako, tayo, para sa bata.
Ako si Ojel. Ako, tayo, para sa bata.
Ako si Scarlett. Ako, tayo, para sa bata.
Ako si Rosalinda. Ako, tayo, para sa bata.
Tayo, para sa bata.
All right, thank you so much for dancing with us. Napaindak tayo doon ngayong tanghali. Thank you again to our children and youth participants. Thank you so much, Miss Anastasia and Miss Ann Curtis. All right, as you must all know, this is the last of 8 Ako Para Sa Bata webinars. So the question is, what have we learned? What exactly have we accomplished in the past 8 weeks? Here to tell us the answers to that is the conference chair of Ako Para Sa Bata 2021, Dr. Melissa Joyce Rambuanga.
Thank you, Neo. And so we're here. It seemed just like yesterday when we opened Ako Para Sa Bata Conference 2021. It was about the time when we were in community lockdowns due to the surge of the Delta variant of COVID-19. However, with the help of technology, and most especially the internet, we have shown our resilience and continuing dedication to the protection of children through everyone's active support and participation to APSB. And now, 2 months after, we are at alert level 2 and have started to open up and move towards the future. What a fitting closing to our conference this year with the theme Reimagining the Future, Breaking Barriers, Bridging Gaps. As we translate what we have learned in the past 8 weeks into practice. Can you still remember what transpired in our previous webinars? Let's do a quick throwback Thursday. Last October 7th, we opened this year's Ako Para Sa Bata conference with an update from Dr. Anna Ong Lim on the situation of COVID-19 in the country, especially with the rise then of the Delta variant. Webinar 2 enlightened us on how we broke barriers in child protection services, training, and research, proving that no pandemic can stop us from helping and advocating for children in our communities. In webinar 3, we were treated to how we can help patients through arts and music. And webinar 4, we took a break from the serious stuff and focused on 2 coping strategies in dealing with COVID fatigue through rope flow practice as well as mindfulness exercises. Webinar 5 took us to the storm, stress, and resilience of parenting teens in the time of the pandemic. Slide. Well, webinar 6 allowed us to introspect on ourselves as service providers and how as individuals and organizations can help us cope with mental health effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. And last week, we heard from the major names in social media and telecommunications on how they are able to contribute in the efforts to protect children from online sexual abuse and exploitation of children, especially during the time when everyone is on the internet. And just last Tuesday, our WCPU members were given an update by Dr. Madrid on the dynamics of victimization. And last but not the least, as we celebrate Children's Month, we'll listen to what the youth had to say on the Philippine Plan of Action to End Violence Against Children, or PPA-EVAC, through their 6-component strategy. And we also got to listen to 2 inspirational women with their messages of encouragement and hope. Now, after 8 full weeks, we are closing Ako Para sa Bata 2021 with even a stronger commitment to children as we move forward towards a brighter future. But before we officially close, we would like to recognize the hard work of the graduates of our first batch of online multidisciplinary team training. As they say, many are called, but only few are chosen. And these chosen few persevered despite the challenges of the pandemic and poor internet signals. Congratulations to the 63 graduates of MDT from 22 hospitals. Who are they? Let us watch the short ADT.
Aborlan Medical Hospital, Palawan. Baguio General Hospital and Medical Center. Basilan General Hospital. Cardinal Santos Medical Center, Metro Manila. Corazon Locsin Montelibano Memorial Regional Hospital, Bacolod. Coron District Hospital, Palawan. Dr. Jose Reyes Memorial Medical Center, Metro Manila. East Avenue Medical Center, Metro Manila. Eastern Bicol Medical Center, Catanduanes Provincial Hospital. Marinduque Provincial Hospital. Mariveles Mental Wellness and General Hospital, Bataan. Margo sa Tubig Regional Hospital, Zamboanga del Sur. Mindanao Central Sanitarium and General Hospital, Zamboanga City. Oriental Mindoro Central District Hospital and Calapan City Oriental Mindoro. Hospital ng Palawan, Puerto Princesa City. Prieto Diaz LGU, Sorsogon. San Vicente District Hospital, Palawan. Siquijor Provincial Hospital. Southern Palawan Provincial Hospital. Zamboanga City Medical Center. Zamboanga del Norte Medical Center and WCPD PNCO. Zamboanga del Sur Medical Center.
All right. I guess that wraps up this year's Ako Para sa Bata conference. I just want to thank everyone for all our participants, our panelists, and everyone involved in this year's conference. We would like to express our heartfelt thanks to you, the people who joined us in the past 8 weeks. Wow. Who have shown your support and commitment to protecting the rights and the lives of children. The Child Protection Network thanks you. The Safer Kids PH thanks you. And UNICEF thanks you. And most of all, the Filipino children thank you. Mabuhay po kayong lahat. It has been a great pleasure hosting this meaningful and worthwhile program. For the Child Protection Network and UNICEF, I am your host, Neo Rivera. Thank you again.